Okay, good evening, everyone. We'll open the meeting up. Can we please rise for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we go to public comment, very appropriate right now that we just did the pledge. Saturday, we honored all our veterans and for the service to our country. And I'd like to recognize a couple individuals here tonight. One of our board members, Camille, served our country. I want to thank you for your service, Camille. And Mr. Murphy, I believe, served our country also. I'd like to thank him for everyone else in the audience that served our country. Thank you very much. I mean, to protect our freedom, it means a lot. So thank you for all those that served our country. Okay, we'll open the meeting up to public comment. Okay, I guess we don't have any public comment. Good. Yes, our special presentation this evening, Leaders of the Pack. We'll do a reverse order tonight. We'll start with the high school, then the middle school, then the elementary school. So high school.
Thank you. And I convinced you to turn around earlier, so thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. Congratulations to the other leaders of the pack. It's an honor. Tonight we have Shreya, who is a wonderful student. As you could tell by her smile, that smile gleams all day long, and that positive energy she gives all day long, and we appreciate that. I'm going to share some blurbs from her teachers. First is Miss Saylor. Shreya is thoughtful, eager, and excited to learn. She excels in college history, but even more impressive is her work on the Civic Capstone Project, which we had a presentation on a few board meetings ago, where she plans to bring feminine hygiene products to women in need, as well as raising awareness of period poverty on a larger scale. She is a role model to her peers in class and a phenomenal choice for leader of the pack. Mr. Cozzolino. Shreya is great all around. She always has a positive attitude and is kind to everyone around her. She is very smart and has an unbeatable work ethic. I witnessed her pouring hours of time into Science Olympiad last year, and now I'm getting to see her do the same in class. This combination of being a great person and a great student makes Shreya an excellent choice for leader of the pack. That was Mr. Coz.
You could hold your applause to the end. There's much more to read about.
Mr. Welch, Shreya is a diligent, thoughtful, and talented French student. A confident speaker of the language, she never shies away from taking risks in class and excels in everything she does. I can think of no person more deserving of being leader of the pack than her. Coach Geller, Shreya is a perfect choice for leader of the pack. I've been so lucky to be both her PE teacher and coach for tennis. She is a friend to everyone, has made great strides in tennis, is funny, and always brings a positive attitude to practice in PE class. Congratulations for Coach Geller. Mr. Tatum, Shreya is thoughtful and hardworking. She has a great sense of humor, always smiling, as I said before, always laughing. She brings a great energy to class on top of her tireless work ethic. And then last but not least, Miss Whiston. Shreya treats everyone with the utmost respect and kindness. She is always engaged and willing to help anyone around her. Shreya has amazing problem-solving skills and can think critically about any problem given to her. I love having Shreya in class. She is a ray of sunshine. And so this month's leader of the pack for the high school, Shreya.
Yeah, the family can get into that picture, Mark.
One more.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Okay. So the Highland Middle School's November 2023 leader of the pack is 7th grader Callie Bishop. So Callie's teachers had a lot of great things to say about her. So I'm going to read a few of them, and I think they speak for themselves. So Mr. Foreman said, Callie is an awesome student. She is so respectful and is on top of her game all the time. She completes her work on time and all the time. She's a good helper to her classmates, and she is nicer than nice all the time. She's an excellent student. Mr. Loveland said, Callie is a gifted individual who quietly leads the pack by example. She is at all times a model of respect, curious and responsible student, and she does it with a smile. Mrs. Torres said, Callie is not just an exceptional student, but a kind person. She works diligently in class and works well with those around her. Mrs. Wade said, Callie is a sweet girl. She always does her best and is a good friend to others. It's refreshing to see a 7th grader making good decisions and being happy with those decisions. And lastly, Mr. Millman said, Callie is a compassionate, intelligent young lady. Whenever there is a situation within class to make someone feel good or be included, it's Callie who takes the lead. Also, during gameplay, working or within a group or developing strategy, it's Callie facilitating how to strategically get it done in the best way. So, congratulations, Callie.
Thank you. Come on up, family.
Okay, we'll wait, and hopefully the elementary schools parents and students will show, and then we'll interrupt the meeting and go right into the leader of the pack presentation. But for those that were the leaders of the pack, on behalf of the board, congratulations, well done. Hard work pays off, so congratulations to our leaders of the pack. Okay, we have a video presentation from our high school students. Those that want to leave, I'm sure you have homework and such, so you can.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So, good evening, everyone. In just a moment, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Iannazzoni. We want to update everyone on something new that we brought to the high school. So the last couple of years, Mr. Iannazzoni and I little bit of a tongue twister there, saying, have been talking about the morning and afternoon announcements that take place over the PA system. And in a previous district, 2 districts that I've worked in, we were able to put together video announcements to replace the PA announcements. So the last couple of years, we were trying to figure out best ways to put this together. And it's something that we have up and running now, and I'll have Mr. Iannizoni give more explanation of everything.
So we started out the year doing this just once a week on Fridays. And just this week, we've upped it to twice a week with the eventual goal that we can hopefully do this every day and just replace all the announcements over the intercom with something hopefully a little more engaging and something that the students can access later during the day. For example, if they have like AMBOCs or something like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you a short clip from the very first one we did, and then I'll show you the one from today. Should be about 2 or 3 minutes total. But that way you can see just in the month and a half, I think, how far we've come. So this is the very first one that we did. I'm just going to show 10, 15 seconds. The students are probably already embarrassed by this one. Probably underneath the computer. That would.
Reminder to all students who use bus transportation, you will need a late bus pass to get on the bus. You get your bus pass from the teacher or club you stayed after for.
Sophomores and juniors who have registered for the PSAT in October, please check your Schoology account as you have been added to the group called Digital PSAT 2023. And it has very important
Right. So that's sort of where we started out. And this is the one that we came out with just today. And I'll play this one in its entirety. It's like 2 minutes.
Good morning. Today is November 14th, and it is a B-Day. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'll skip to that pledge since we've already done that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, for which it stands, one under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attention seniors, if you've already submitted your senior portrait, quote, baby photo, or any other photos, please resubmit to yearbook@highland-k12.org. All senior portraits, baby photos, and quotes are due by December 22nd.
Mary, who do we have for the weather?
I don't know, you tell me, Gunner. Who do we have for the weather?
Today's weather is a low of 31 and a high of 49 with partly sunny skies.
Tomorrow's weather is a low of 29 degrees with a high of 50 and it's going to be cloudy.
Thursday's weather is a low of 32 and a high of 57 with sunny skies.
Attention high school seniors. The school counselors will be running a college application workshop today, November 21st, after school. If any seniors have questions about their college applications, Navions requesting transcripts and letters of recommendations, please join us in the library. Now for our sports update.
This Tuesday and Thursday, there's bowling trials at the Poughkeepsie Spins Bowling. You can take the 2:30 bus, and the practice is from 3 to 4:30.
The Interact Club will meet on Thursday at 2:10 p.m. in the auditorium.
Today's lunch is going to be nachos.
Tomorrow's lunch is going to be chicken nuggets.
Thursday's lunch will be Thanksgiving dinner.
That's all for today, folks.
Have a great one.
Go Huskies.
Anyway, just wanted to fill you in, especially, there's been a lot of collaboration with Mr. Murphy, Rich Fisher, and the tech department helped get us some new camera equipment. So we've got like a proper green screen, we've got 3 cameras, we have lapel microphones. It's really turned into like a big production with a lot of opportunities for the students to learn new skills. So just wanted to keep you in the loop. Yes.
So so if you have that equipment, why is the sound not crisper?
We're still figuring out the best settings for the microphones for sure. We're definitely having issues with them peaking at some points. So.
And what recording software are you using?
Final Cut Pro X.
Yeah.
And the mics just came in last week.
Yeah.
So they just learned.
So they're not tuned in. Yeah. All right. Very good. Yep.
Yeah, it's fun. We've got 3 cameras going. You can swap the angles. It's really dynamic.
This is happening during during the school day, or is it just after school?
Yes, so we have 2 periods, we have 6th period and 8th period. And so we're trying to sort of alternate classes of who's doing the lead anchoring role, who's doing the special things like the weather. And we hope to start to incorporate some like special interviews with like staff and faculty, different reports on what's going on in the community, that kind of thing, just as we become more proficient with the skills.
And it's pre-recorded, they're not live sessions, so they are recorded the day before.
Yes.
So if any edits need to be made, et cetera. So the announcements take place every day at 8:30. And to replace the PA announcements, the staff simultaneously at 8:30 goes on, they just log on and play the announcements in their throughout the building.
Fantastic. Is the length of time similar to what typical announcements take?
It is, yes.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it to around 3 or 4 minutes because that period is, I think, 3 minutes longer than all the others.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you. Okay, I believe now we can do the elementary school leader of the pack.
She's like, wait a minute.
Soon.
Good evening. So glad you're here. Jason Fracture, our 4th grade leader of the pack for November. Congratulations. So you have Mrs. Canino here. She's your 2nd grade teacher. She's out there in the crowd. Wait, 1st grade teacher. Yes, I have some accolades from Mr. Brenny, his 4th grade teacher, and from his 3rd grade teacher. So I'll start with Mr. Brenny. He said, since day 1 of the school year, Jason has been an absolute pleasure to teach. He comes in excited to learn new concepts and ideas. He puts extra effort in when completing any assignment. And because of that effort, his schoolwork quality is always excellent. In addition to being a terrific student, he is a kind person and gets along well with everyone in our classroom. I'm very proud of him, and I'm proud that he was chosen as this month's leader of the pack for Highland Elementary School. Mr. Sommerfeld, your 3rd grade teacher, said that Jason is one of the sweetest, kindest students I have ever had. His smile lights up the room, and he's such a hard worker. He has come such a long way and has become a great friend to so many. And he looks very handsome. He also says, I'm very proud to hear that he is leader of the pack, and he was so happy to be your teacher. Coach Canosa, your physical education teacher. She said, Jason is an amazing young man. He has matured into a quiet yet respectful leader amongst his peers. His will and determination to achieve his personal best is a commendable trait that stands out in physical education. And for all that and more, we congratulate you today, Jason, and give you this award. Congrats.
Family. You can go up now if you want.
You can walk in. Yeah.
Front and center.
He's shy, isn't
Okay, again, congratulations to all our leaders of the pack. Job well done. All right, moving on to our consent agenda. We have items from FA1 to D3. So if anyone wants to pull anything out, we can. Any additional information regarding any one of our appointments, whether it be personnel or business and operations, you can ask those questions. So I'll entertain a motion right now to move our consent agenda forward. Motion by Tom, second by Mike. Any discussion? Anyone want to pull anything out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like varsity girls basketball's about to be done first.
We have a motion on the floor by Tom, seconded by Mike. All in favor of consent items?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
So I do believe that Lisa has something that needs to be signed before everyone leaves this evening. It needs to be notarized, so that was
Is that the bond?
It wasn't the bond, it's the uncollected taxes. So, and then I'm also told that we may have another one of those at the next meeting. So just before you leave, make sure Lisa gets that signature.
So D1 through 3 were also on the consent agenda?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And Alan will be able to sign off on those this evening as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
And those lockers are for, just to repeat, they're for the high school?
Correct.
So exciting.
Yes, and the update was to the extra cost for the bonds, for those performance bonds. Okay, under curriculum and instruction, we have our principals monthly report. Yeah, you can go
I don't know if you were gonna throw me a curveball, have me stand up like nope, high school. All right, I lost that for a second. The only thing additional to my board report that I just wanted to add on there, Monday, and it's kind of just because of the timing of days, I was trying to get it on here, and I would have pictures in here, but on Monday, the Rotary, Highland Rotary came by at kind of out of the blue. They did their huge jacket giving event. And then they saved us a bunch so that at the school, because there's always a few kids that go outside and have like a hoodie or not enough clothing on. So they dropped off a ton of extra jackets. And then what they did was they found out that we needed a little extra like gloves and hats, and they dropped not just 10. It was like there's tons. So we have tons of hats and tons of which have already been gone to use. The kids have been, super happy. They got millions of different colors. So I just wanted hats off to the Rotary and how awesome that was. Just didn't expect it to happen. It was just like kind of one of those things. They're like, hey, by the way, could you use this? And then I was like, yeah, thinking it was going to be a small thing. And then it became this huge amount. And I was like, holy smokes. I mean, there's like tons of them. So
Highland Rotary never does anything small.
No, I was like, all right, well then. So storing becomes an issue. So now, but good problem to have. So I just wanted to, I thought that was amazing that, the community comes out and for the kids every time. So that was awesome. So hats off to them. Questions? Yes.
Rock your mocks.
Yes.
So how's the school participating in that?
Oh, well, that's the thing. So we started talking about it and asking kids, like, is this, do you guys have moccasins? Like, and the kids were like, what? And so I was like, all right, well, maybe this is more of a high school, middle school thing, could happen a little bit more. I didn't know about it. My daughter told me about it because apparently she needs a new pair. And so, Dad, it's rocking my, and I was like, what? So I went on and she's like, it's online. So I went online, searched it, and I did not buy one of the mocks, but she has a pair. They're like slippers, bed slippers, but they're still close enough. So it is actually a thing. And I was supposed to, and so I included the hashtags and everything else for Rock the Mock. So maybe next year we'll get a little bit more participation and that cost parents extras.
Yeah, I love seeing that and just the activities that you're doing as much. So it's good. It's good.
Trying.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I had a question.
Like that, the new ones do.
The door hardware itself.
Great. Yeah.
Just a quick question, with the change November 1st with the lunch program and breakfast, which is absolutely phenomenal. But I know it probably affects the elementary school the most, just in terms of logistics, right? So just curious how that's going. I know there were some adjustments made to kind of I've been told about the early morning recess. If they don't, it's a tough choice, extra breakfast or early morning recess. So.
Well, they do both. So
Okay.
the kids have been. So we were. They all go inside to the cafeteria, grab their breakfast, sit down. A lot of them have been. It's the cereal, so they've been doing their cereal. Now a few of them stay. Like this morning, there's. We have the table set up, so there's a few tables where the kids just want to sit and talk and hang out and do that because they're like, it's too cold outside. I don't want to go outside. And then there's the few that like scarf down the breakfast and then go outside. There was one or two that was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go outside, run around for a little bit, play some football, and then come inside and grab breakfast, which. Figure that I was like, hey, hats off to you trying to figure it out. You know what? I got to give it to you. So that was a little tweak we had to do. So we blocked off a few of the entrances and then some of the staff that are like welcoming the students. And we've said breakfast outside. You can't do the opposite. So they've picked up on it. And like I said, the breakfast has been going really well. The lines have been able to handle it. Hats off to John for. Like I said, making sure the staff is ready to go. The K2 group has been, they've been having a grand old time. So like I was trying to like you said, get kids off the bus so they're not just sitting on a bus. Let them sit with their peers, let them sit with their classmates, their friends and talk and have, instead of just sitting on a bus. So I was like, so we've been processing and we have some plans in place just in case for that super cold weather or if it's raining and stuff like that. So we're going to open up different parts of the building to kind of help out. I really like a morning recess. It's something that I think it's gets your blood flowing and the kids learning and the fresh air is good for them, especially and the same with the car riders. So we get the car riders out, they go either breakfast or outside. So we've got everyone kind of stationed. We had to move it a few times. There's always obviously kinks in the first, and then we've moved everybody. So I think the staff is. And then getting everyone back into class with the time and manner has been.
So crowd control hasn't been
Today was the best day yet so far. So we got clear lines. So now we're doing we tried holding signs and then we tried a different thing and whistles and then so we've tried a few different things we thought would work and then staff was like, let's try this and we tried this today and it worked. I'm not going to remember so what it worked so far.
Great.
Yeah, so it's been going good. I'm super pleased with it. Kids seem really happy about it. So, yeah.
The transition coming in from recess to start the day is
great. Staff has been.
I mean, as far as like the kids come in and like being ready.
Getting focused. Yeah, staff has said that they've, from the feedback from some of the teachers, they were really happy with, they really like that time where, between. Whatever has happened in their morning, that time to be with their friends, exercise a little bit, get some of that energy out, and then getting, into class. There's a few teachers that wrote me really nice emails about how they think it has helped. They're mainly third grade teachers, but, yeah. Yeah. I would ask Mr. Brennan, but he's not here right now. So.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you, Ian.
Good evening. My only addition is today, hot off the press, is our Husky newspaper. So I wanted to pass that out. I didn't get a chance to put it in my board report, so I wanted you guys to have it. It's our after school club.
Half a cent.
Yeah, half a cent.
Literally.
Yeah, it's literally came out today. My favorite is the drawing on the back. It's supposed to be representative of all the four PBIS houses. So a student came up with a drawing, and they're going to do a comic strip each time the paper comes out. But the loaf of bread is probably my favorite because you need air. But,
So I wanted to ask, what's a curatorial graduate program?
What is that in there?
Yes. under studio in art, the trip to Bard.
Sorry, I thought you said it was
It's
in the newspaper. I
okay.
was like-
It's it. They have one of the most curatorial graduate programs in the world.
It's the curator. They come from a specific
So,
college.
Museum curators.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I appreciate the veterans letters on the back. I was just curious, just because middle school, we want to maybe take it to the next step, and certainly sending the letters is fabulous. I'm sure the veterans. I'm just curious if there could be a project that promotes two-way communication. So, in other words, if the student wanted to know, well, hey, what message would you send to middle school students today, or what would you want to share? And perhaps have some veterans interact that way. They might come into the building and do that. I don't know, but it's just a thought I had reading the report.
Absolutely.
Fantastic, and thank you.
Yeah, similarly to the Veterans Day activity, or the Veterans Day activities, the dog tags that you're continuing, and then the integration of the ELA. So just love seeing that, especially being an event. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Thank you, Megan. Mr. Murphy?
Hi again, everyone. No additions, just something I wanted to update you with. We had a former student reach out and recently, and I had a nice conversation with them about how they're doing in college and things that they're accomplishing. And they asked me how things are going here. I said they're great as always. We're always keeping very busy. And they had asked me to please share the following with you because they knew that tonight there was a board meeting. And they did ask to remain anonymous. So, the teachers at Highland High School did an exceptional job in preparing us for college. The care, energy, and thoughtfulness they invested into their lessons facilitated not only the learning of content in a meaningful way, but the acquisition of strong study skills that have significantly eased the transition from high school to college. Because of the training from my high school teachers, I find myself with a great advantage in many areas key to college success, such as absorbing high amounts of information in short periods of time, writing both scientific reports and analysis essays concisely and persuasively, studying with maximal efficiency, approaching complicated problems, and communicating ideas and information. I now teach my peers at the university, many of whom are 1 to 2 years my senior, some of these skills that my teachers at Highland taught me. Their teachings will continue to help me thrive, and I cannot express how grateful I am for their invaluable impact on my academic character. I am so grateful for all of their efforts. So they knew that tonight was a board meeting, and they wanted me to share that with all of you. Any questions?
I got a couple questions regarding its physical plant equipment, so it might involve some other departments, but you've got some technology at the front of your building that's down. How long has that been down?
Actually, it was just fixed today.
It was?
Yes.
Okay. Very good, thank you. We have
between their morning and afternoon routes.
So there's some people you can
yes,
move
we have
around.
personnel, and Kathy's been extremely helpful with that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Thank you all.
Thank you. Directors' reports. We have some of our directors here this evening, so if you have any questions for our directors, feel free to ask them and mention your concerns. Directors' report.
We got a question for everybody. Okay. Yeah, transportation. It's a lot of open positions, right? Probably the wrong night to talk about. You're going to hear me delve into some areas of curriculum challenges, some areas that we've been cited in the past, African American subgroups, and why does that, where does that tie into transportation, or curriculum challenges tie into transportation? I'm interested to know what our after-school busing is. Like, I don't think we bust sports kids. Well, Dimitri and Daki were going, but what buses do we have available after school and at what times, other than obviously regular dismissal?
So we'll start with the after-school activity piece. Do you mean the late buses?
Yes.
So what happens is I have one driver dedicated to that. So he would do a high school run. He doesn't have an elementary run. So he comes here to get his high school students, brings them over to the middle school, and they get dispersed through other buses that are available. Some that are coming from out of town, some are our elementary buses, and that's how we accomplish that. So maybe out of all those letter buses, maybe each bus has 3 to 4 late bus students on there. They're all from the middle school and a couple of high schoolers. For our bowling, we have another bus.
And what times does that happen?
3:15 to 3:25.
So 3:15 to 3:25, high school and middle school students can get a bus home.
Yes,
Okay.
we make that happen.
Any other bus runs after school, or that's the only one?
Our sports bus runs,
And what are those times?
it depends on the activity, what sport is going out, whether if it's track or football. Is that what you mean? Those kind of activities?
No, I
Oh,
meant
okay,
if
no.
I stay after for practice, I can take a bus home.
No, I don't have that bus.
Okay, all right. So 3:15 to 3:25. When do we have an elementary after school run?
No, that would be the Bridge Academy, and that doesn't start till after the holidays.
Right. Yeah, that's targeted, that program. Okay.
And I don't think for
All right,
sports
thank you.
we've ever had.
No.
That's always something where it's parent pickup, yeah.
Other schools do have multiple runs in the afternoon, though.
Yes,
Every building, right? So I'm just trying to.
And our Arch program is also parent pickup?
Correct. Yes.
Accessibility to after-school programs and being able to get home consistently could potentially be a barrier or not to students seeking additional help who might not have means to get picked up. You know what I mean? Thanks. Thank you, Frank, for the athletic report. 7 teams above 500, 5 teams below, but those statistics show improvement, and I appreciate it.
Well, one of those teams below did get the sportsmanship award, and it's going to be recognized tomorrow evening. Sorry if I.
Outstanding. No, the report had multiple. Listen, some kids did fantastic, and he did highlight those in his report.
We don't know the scholar athlete teams yet. That needs to be finalized, and also some individuals that may have made all league or all section. We don't know who they are yet because the season's just ended. And just aside to what you were talking about, a late bus for athletics. I can tell you the last time Han had one was back in the early 80s. And I know that was a situation when, I can tell you, I remember, modified football was added, and one of the givebacks was there was no after-school bus for athletes. So it's been that way for 40 years.
Yeah, and that was part of the conversation. My interest really was those after-school, seeking after help programs, these kinds of things. And for students of need in various subgroups.
I have to say, just along those lines, do want to acknowledge transportation, because even though they are so short-staffed, it doesn't seem like those cancellations come very often. So great job to your group.
I think she knows magic, honestly. I don't know how we do it, but I think there's more than just science at work here. But whatever it is working every day. Fantastic. Karen, we're talking about data, and there's been a lot of activity here. Good report. But we know we've had challenges in the past in the K-8. Now I know the state wiped the slate clean with the subgroups, right? So we're in good standing across the board. But that K-8 has some challenges. I'm looking at school meter, and they haven't populated the 2023s yet, but there's still trends there. And when you look at cohort data, still relevant. These subgroups that we're concerned about, we've got a start of the year score, and in there, are those patterns evident yet still? Have they grown? Are they consistent? How is the elementary school addressing those subgroups?
What I should have put in the report with your question is when you look at STAR,
they actually did trends where from COVID, if you're improving, if you're a V, where you're just out of COVID, or if you've now passed COVID and you're accelerating again, all grades except fourth grade. Fourth grade is just in that V pattern, but everything else is in the normal pattern of they're past COVID and they're accelerating. And I expect fourth grade at the end of this year to be in that pattern as well.
Fourth grade were those kiddos who were in kindergarten when it hit.
Yeah, that they were hit the hardest.
So that is the hardest.
And one of the things that I have done with the after school program, seeing the writing, is we have one OT that's also a certified teacher. So I put her in third grade, and she's agreed to do fourth grade this year again. And I've got some nice letters from the parents noticing the change in their kids' handwriting, because she had to do some work with those kids as well, because they didn't have that instruction that you would normally get. So that was something also I was looking at, that third grade was hit so hard with.
I can tell you from experience in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, they were all virtual.
Right.
And you could hear the teacher tell them, write down your idea. And my son would look like he's writing, but he certainly was not. So it is a lot of...
The kids were coloring more on iPad than they were during that time period with actual crayons. It's very, very interesting, and I think we're going to see some really interesting studies done in the next few years on these kids.
So you don't expect for these subgroups to get cited again?
Well, we are going to dive in full force 3 through 8 with math, science, and ELA, taking the tests online, and that's a big jump for some of our kids. So we're trying this year to do the math testing online in our Into Math program.
You haven't done any CBT at all?
We have done some CBT. We've gone over it with the teachers. They're doing the simulations, but it's, as you know, it's different under testing conditions.
Yes, I do. So Highland hasn't tested any student population under CBT?
No, we're going to actually be doing a simulation. So I don't know how our kids are going to actually do. We dive in full force. So worst case scenario, it's not gonna be a true measure, and it'll be more of a test of.
They're all true measures. You're not gonna get a pass on the measures.
No, I'm not.
Because they're what we have.
Right.
We could question validity, but it's what we have.
Right.
Are you doing midterm testing? You did some pre-test, right, in the beginning of the year. You have those.
Well, we have a team
effort,
a district-wide team working on this. So we have the elementary school, the principal has been great, he's on it. We have it's a whole team effort in the schools where the instructional technology specialists are working with the teachers and the students in those classes. We also have the simulation that's coming. Richard has been working with us, making sure everything's whitelisted. So, I mean, we're trying to prepare for anything that could possibly happen. Like, if a computer doesn't record every 60 seconds up to.
You have a star score for every student, ELA?
Yeah. ELA
for the
math.
Beginning of the year?
Well, ELA math.
You use star for ELA and math?
Yeah, and so...
and are you going to do any midterm testing?
Yeah.
January, February?
Yeah, and there's CBMs throughout the curriculum-based measures that along the way, and then progress monitoring. Depending on students, will progress monitor more often than not, or depending.
You're looking at your subgroups with that data?
Yes, and then 6 weeks, and then every 6 weeks, pull that reeval based on those progress monitorings, and based on the shifts and where we're, and sub objectives that we're looking at during that progress monitoring or skills, depending on grade level. January will be that full, as you know, the full demo from the state, the January 16th to the 18th, whatever it is. Yeah. So
that's big.
It's gonna be huge. So
you coordinating with elementary and high school or middle school? They're all going to be on at the same time?
No.
You've got the bandwidth?
We're not doing them all at the same time. There'll be a different grade per day.
Yeah.
And we've already had meetings with Rich regarding Chromebooks and all of those pieces as well.
Browser's got to be ready, up to date.
We already have the extensions put in the
Right.
Chromebook being pushed out to all the Chromebooks so teachers can use them to practice with students in this before the simulations.
I think we're, I don't wanna be overly confident, but I think we're in very good shape. We have a very good team working on this, they're diligent. The kids are understanding that this is coming, the teachers are understanding this is coming. And I do think that we are going to do, with due diligence, what we can do to serve our students best.
In that testing in the actual testing window, are all the buildings testing same time, or will it be staggered then too?
It'll be staggered.
The latter.
They're working on that right now, with dates and setting a schedule up.
And then with just curious with STAR, I'm not familiar with STAR. Is it similar to the NetStera platform as far as like the tools and how it
No.
works?
What we have done is we have shared, the tools are very similar. The big difference in the state testing is that there's these equation editor, and the equation editor is the same in 3rd, 4th grade, same in 5th, 6th grade, same in 7th and 8th grade. So kids have to become familiar with those tools and how to play them and use them. And the only thing that's really going to get them is doing the question samplers on the actual Questar website, NextEra website. And those question samplers, they don't give you how the student did on the test, nothing's recorded. But what they do give the kids is a chance to go over, ask questions, play with the highlighter, play with putting in a fraction, and that's really important at this point. You don't want them playing that with the day of the test. What I've suggested to teachers is that maybe on Friday or one day of the week, one of the grade levels pick, last 20 minutes of the day, they go on and they have the kids actually play with and get used to the samplers in 3rd, 4th, 5th.
And same thing with science?
Yes, same thing with science. And the question sampler has science up as well. And the science tools, again, they have to play with them to get used to them. And I can't stress that enough. I've been getting the CBT updates. I highlight, I send that out, I give it to Mr. Zimmer, I send it to the principals. I highlight by color whose responsibility is what. And I send it out to the team, to our technology integration specialist. And even at conference day, I even stressed you have to look at the question sampler and introduce it to the kids. They need to see what they look like. They need to see the tools. It's not something on the first day that they can do. I mean, we'll see how that goes. Eventually, what the district might want to look at is looking at a tool that has a question sampler similar to the state, and that would be EdVista's DataMate. But that's, yeah. So, I mean, we're just trying to get them into it. We're more worried about content and having the kids know the content and being confident when they go in there. And we're, like I said, we're getting them used to doing the work, transferring it. What we're seeing right now with Into Math, when we do the test online, is the kids transferring the material from the computer screen to their paper, doing their math workout, and then transferring it back. That's a big transfer skill. So, and that's where we're seeing if there's errors, that's where they make them. But that's something that's just practice.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we're doing with them.
We're gonna move on to food service, if that's okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, he couldn't be here this evening.
My question.
But I can take the question again.
Yeah, my question for food services: How does food services participate in these months where we're celebrating cultures? I see themes like on certain days they might have or attempt to have a meal that celebrates the culture, but still meets all the requirements. Just maybe they can get involved.
Just regarding food service, I think it was a good, I know they had sometimes social media just regarding like the choices for students. I think that's great just to get it out to parents, kind of like when the kids come home and say, oh, they're having mozzarella sticks. I don't want mozzarella sticks. Well, did you look at
a video
else
class making commercials for them.
They got some nice feedback from the display of foods that students get to choose from. So that was nice.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that before. So.
That's a great idea.
I mean, it's been like that, but we have not promoted it, so they did a good job with that.
Very good.
tech director is available?
Not tonight.
No. I think the expectation, what are your expectations when security technology is down and not working? What's management's expectation of a turnaround and stuff? And I just say,
I would say that I know that when it is down, they're working feverishly to get it back up.
So if it's a camera unit, I know those things should have a couple in stock. They're usually the same in each building, but it should be in stock.
Mm-hmm.
Like you should have one or two of those on the shelf. It shouldn't be that's the time to order, because these things sometimes take a little bit to arrive. So then the technology's down for that problem. My expectation would be within 72 hours, something technology safety related is up and running. And if not, well, it's in process. And, if our vendor can't get it in that kind of window, but then let's plan for that kind of stuff. I think we should stock something.
I know Mike, the director of facilities, works with shared services in the fire department. I know today they had the ladder truck at the middle school reinstalling a camera. I don't know if the camera was down for a period of time or they were swapping out cameras, but that's something I know that's being done as far as the cameras.
Especially the ones that are not reachable, like the ones that are up on the
one that was down today and addressed today was reachable. I think it was down since perhaps several days, but the fact that it was addressed today is interesting, and that lets me know it can get addressed a lot sooner than later. So management sets that safety technology is a priority. That doesn't sit there and lag, just like you wouldn't let a teacher's computer sit there and lag. Those things got to be addressed right away. There's no lag. You're fully staffed, you're fully funded. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good job.
Any other
Had
questions?
time to delve into the reading.
Any other questions for our directors? Good. Thank you. Lily, student rep, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm gonna get through this a little bit. So, starting with the elementary school, the second and third graders went/are going on a free field trip courtesy of the Marist Theater 2023-2024 Executive Board. Shout out to all the teachers and TAs, especially the show's program manager, Rihanna Moline. The elementary school would also like to thank food services and transportation for orchestrating the other parts of the trip. The third graders attended Cinderella Caterpillar on the 13th, yesterday, and the second graders plan to attend the 15th, tomorrow. Cinderella Caterpillar was a wonderful way to introduce story structure, elements of fairy tale, and creative problem solving for the third graders. With that being said, we look forward to exposing it to the second graders as well. On to the middle school. This Friday, the 17th, is Highland Middle School's first school dance/co-rec evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It should be a lot of fun for all the students, and we look forward to another successful PTA event. Last Friday, the Highland Middle School 6th graders had a great day at West Point, exploring the campus and learning about the history of the academy. They even reached a tour of the Cadet Chapel and its basement crypt. So, the Highland Middle School is gearing up for another December Spirit Month. Each day in December will be a different dress-up or spirit day as a fun way to celebrate the many traditions, holidays, and festivals that take place during the winter season. On to the high school. On October 30th, the PTSA held a very successful barbecue fundraiser selling out 300 meals. Mr. Castellanos took his art classes to showcase their work at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie. The Hudson Valley Regional Portfolio Day gives the youth an opportunity to speak with college representatives and get their portfolio critiqued by those representatives, so that's really exciting. On November 1st, the Highland High School's World Language Department hosted Culture Night to share information and celebrate El Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Over the last couple of weeks, various trips have taken place, such as Washington Containment, Walkway Over the Hudson, Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency, the Recycling Center, upper class students going to the elementary school to work on personal narratives with the 4th graders, Art Inquiry Unit, DIA Beacon, murals in Kingston, and SUNY New Paltz. A lot of field trips. That's exciting. In sports, the girls varsity volleyball team competed in Section 9 for Class B finals, but came short and finished as section runner-ups. We're still very proud of them. That's like so exciting. Varsity football made it to Section 9 playoffs as well. Fell short in the semifinals, but this is the first time that our program's been to section playoffs in 8 years. Over 8 years, I think, actually. So that's awesome. And that's all the notes I have for you guys.
Good. Anyone have any questions for Lily?
More just a comment with all the field trips that the students are going on. It's really great to see. I mean, for a while you had COVID, and we weren't able to go many places, and it's just great. I think even like the local. I know my kids have gone, the West Point trip, and even Huguenot Street this year. I was fortunate enough to go with my little guy, and honestly it was such a great trip, and it's a town over, and even they had said, oh, Highland has never actually came, but you guys were awesome, like acknowledging how well the students were, but just also like the comment of, you guys have never come before. I was like, really? We're town over, so just really great job to everybody on all the field trips. Again, goes back to transportation, helping transport the children there, but just really a great thing to see, just all the local things are able to take in.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Lily.
I missed something under the director's report.
Sure.
I apologize. Under facilities, there was a personnel section, but it seemed like one of those things was incomplete. So a head custodian position's open due to a resignation. Received a list from civil service that wasn't valid, and then it says we will be entertaining a blank. Any idea with that?
Well, I do know that they, because the list is incomplete, they can look at existing employees to fill that position temporarily until the list is valid again. So that might be what he's talking about.
Very good. That makes sense. Thank you. Just wanted to.
So he talked a little bit about that today. It's odd that he left it off there though.
It might have been
One
a
of those things
process.
yeah,
Just a blank, and I was like,
yeah.
Very good. Thanks.
Okay, moving on to our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Pupil Personnel, Dr. Boyd.
Good evening, everyone. So as I mentioned at one of the previous meetings, we're being evaluated on our services for students with IEPs 15 and older. We look at our transition services and getting them ready for life after high school. So we had a lot of data and a lot of documents to submit to the state, which we just did last Friday. So over the next month or two, we anticipate some feedback, and we always look at ways that we can improve our services for the students and how we write them into the IEPs as well. So we'll be working with our rep from the state over that whenever she provides the feedback. At the Superintendent's Conference Day last week, I was able to meet with our related service providers and our CSC chairs, and one of the things that we're looking at as a big change for next year is how we deliver our related services, so our speech, OT, PT, and even our counseling. So we're looking at a model that will include some time for some of those providers to push in and to see how the skills that they're working on in installation are transitioning to the classroom, because that's our ultimate goal, is that they're learning these skills in a small group or an individual session, and then they're able to use them in the classroom. So we're looking at how that model could be implemented, because this conversation starts now as we're planning for annual reviews and writing these IEPs, which will be in effect for the 24-25 school year. So we had a good start on that, and we'll be working with parents and our staff over the next couple of months to get set up for that. We had our Medicaid meeting. We have a new representative with our company that helps handle our Medicaid billing. So we met with them yesterday. They always give us updates and changes and things that we need to know about. One of the items that could affect us is that during COVID, and actually all the way until June 2023, parents did not have to update their Medicaid coverage every year. It was just rolled over. Typically in the past, they'd have to update it every year. So now that's back into effect. So our eligibility list of students. Right now, we're kind of in limbo. We carried it over with the assumption, but there could be a few hiccups that we'll be handling over the next couple of months as people get caught up with that. So just something that we're going to keep our eye on. But everything else moving forward is going well. And lastly, we have the Education Stabilization Fund monitoring audit going on right now that has started. So we were picked as a target district. Basically, the federal government is auditing the state government, who is now auditing us on grants, which is so they're looking at how we spent the money and how we did everything. It's going to be a lot of paperwork that we're getting together over the next month that we'll submit in December, and then we have a meeting set for the end of January. But this process will go on for the next couple of months that we'll be looking at and providing a lot of documentation for. That's it for me.
Anyone have any questions for Dr. Boyd? I had one in regards to reimbursements. I know in the past we had issues with special needs reimbursements, and we brought on a consultant. Are you satisfied with the work of the consultants getting what we need out of
so the company basically
is our staff moving forward is providing all the documentation and everything to be able to get the reimbursements?
Yeah, I'll say our staff does a great job providing all of that, and the company that we use helps facilitate the billing, which is a huge undertaking.
Right.
So the work that they do for us is extremely important, and a lot of work too that they do. At one of the previous conferences, one of the things that they've heard though with Medicaid billing is that it is cumbersome. It's time consuming. It's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of requirements, and every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed perfectly to get it. And that's why this company is great, because they're very good about that and helping if things need to be resubmitted. But what
and they're correct me if I'm wrong. They're paid through a percentage of the savings.
We pay them it's a monthly fee, so or a yearly fee that we pay no matter how much we do.
Doesn't equal $80,000, does it?
No,
good.
Not even close.
Otherwise, skip the paperwork.
Exactly. Well, and that's
right.
In the past when there's not a lot.
Still.
Some districts have elected not to do it, but when there's a
You've pushed the number up to a pretty high nugget, Dr. Boyd, that we've seen, right? In excess of 80K, if I remember correctly.
Isn't it
the work of our staff? Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Parents are an integral part of that happening.
Well, parents have to sign consent to it. So there's a one-time consent. We can't require that any parent signs that. We can put out information. And we consistently did that. I will say Ms. Bees out of my office has been great about reaching out to parents to try to get some of those ones that don't have consent.
But the majority must participate to hit the kind of reimbursement numbers we have.
Yeah, so it's not a ton that we don't have consent on,
Right.
and even if they don't qualify, we can get consent and then we can run it through the eligibility list. But we can't require them to do it. But yeah, it's going very well with the company that we're using.
Sorry, Al, I didn't want to.
No, that's fine. No.
Questions? Good conversation.
Okay, any other questions for Dr. Boyd? Curriculum and instruction, Mr. Zimmer.
Good evening, everyone. On Wednesday, November 1st, I attended the countywide school safety meeting at Ulster County Sheriff's Department. Educators and law enforcement personnel from across the county met to discuss safety protocols and best practices in and around school campuses. I look forward to attending the next meeting on December 6th. It's a monthly meeting I attend, and either I or Mr. Freer attends. Next, Superintendent's Conference Day on November 7th offered a rich and diverse array of professional development sessions. Some of the conferences revolved around curriculum alignment with New York State standards, fostering inclusive environments with a focus on LGBTQ+ topics, navigating challenging dialogues, fostering collaboration and best practices, and building resiliency, promoting growth. Moreover, there were discussions about the use of artificial intelligence in education and computer-based testing. Practical sessions. There were a few practical sessions on utilizing tools such as Padlet, GoGuardian, and Clear touch screens. That was offered to many, and it was a busy day across all school buildings. The agendas were quite full in all three of the buildings. Next, our school district's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, the DEI Committee, is excited to invite students to participate in a graphic design challenge. It is a unique opportunity for students to showcase their artistic skills and contribute to our mission of fostering an inclusive community. We are seeking original graphic designs that encapsulate the spirit of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The DEI committee will review all the submissions and select the top designs based on creativity, relevance to theme, and visual impact. Winning designs will be showcased on the DEI committee's website. And the contest aims to engage and showcase the artistic talents of our students while promoting the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion within our schools. We look forward to seeing the creative expressions that highlight the beauty of our diverse community. Deadlines for submission is Monday, December 4th. For more information, please reach out to Harriet Meyer at the high school or see one of our district's art teachers or STEM teachers. All are involved. So we're hoping to get quite a few submissions for that. And that brings me to finally, just a reminder, our next district-wide direct committee, which is the DEI committee, will be on Tuesday, December 5th, the day after the deadline of the contest. And that'll be at 6 p.m. on Zoom. And for those who aren't part of the committee but wish to attend, please reach out to Harriet Meyer at the high school for more information. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Any questions? Neil?
Yeah, just I noticed in the reports from the buildings about the SRO and just the involvement with drills and planning. Is there any plans to do any workshops with families, the SRO? And I brought that up in the past. But.
Yes, I do believe so. I don't have any specifics about that, but I will gather that and find out the information.
That group you go to, see if any of those folks do any parent type of programs, or they might.
It's very possible they do. I know there's a state trooper assigned to the region, the Mid-Hudson Valley region, that goes around to schools and doing workshops like that.
Maybe like this thing with school safety. I know there's things that we can tell families, and I know that the Orange Ulster was working on some type of video. I haven't seen it come out yet. Just it was like having videos for families that families can see about what happens during situations. But along those lines, but also thinking about, the drugs, vaping, and these are still things that are still happening in our community. So just any things that the SRO could do to help inform families.
Understood.
Anyway, that sounded very cool, Bill. I appreciate it. Lily, so what is that being announced to students?
So that's announced. It just rolled out yesterday. So we asked all of our STEM teachers in all three buildings and the art teachers to share it with their students. It will be on the announcements. Hopefully, I know it'll be on our website. Hopefully, it'll be on Mr. Iannazzoni's announcements. And we're really trying to promote everybody.
Really, let's see if the students respond to a little drawing contest. What do you think?
I mean, I know we have so many art extracurriculars. Like we have Art Honor Society, Art Club. And
right,
then,
we should be able to get a few submissions in for this.
If not, maybe our teachers can make extra credit or something.
How did the DEI committee react? Were they open to it, or were they
that we haven't met since then?
To shut up.
They will find out about it on the 5th when we present them with all the artwork. So it'll be a nice surprise for them. I did when I spoke to Harriet Meyer, and she and I met and just decided to move forward with this and came up with the parameters. And
sounds fantastic. Thank you. Really.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just going back, Dr. Boyd, mental health. Any updates from the county? I mean, I know back in 2008, 2009, during that crisis of economic crisis, the county pulled most of the resources away from school districts for mental health. Is there any type of lobbying going on by school districts to the county executive to kind of secure some funding to mental health, because it is a crisis right now? I know the county is renovating an annex next to the old Kingston Hospital for mental health, but they have to reach out to the school district. Is there any support from all the districts to lobby the county executive for some funding for this next coming school year?
So each month, the PPS representatives from the county meet at Ulster BOCES, and just about every month we've had, I don't know her exact title, but basically the mental health representative for the county that works with the county executive, comes to our meetings to give us updates on some of that. So the LaSalle program through the middle school, that was a big, there was a lot of money that the county infused into that. I talked about the place in Kingston next to the hospital. I think there is a push from the county. I mean, obviously, I don't think it's as fast as probably we want it to go, or as vast as we would all like it to be. I think they are trying they recognize the need across the county. I don't know that they're ready to take on more of the responsibility from the school districts. I think we have felt that burden of even just more than mental health.
Well, we have the
everything.
burden, right? Burden. The mental health of the student body is something that's been expected of us, and we've taken it on. The grants just accelerated it. We added it to the budget. The county's gutted their mental health program since 2012. Yes, there's a need, but the gap I see is families. There's actual adults out there who could use counseling, or students that have moved on from the K-12 school system. All the numbers that lady's going to come and tout, try calling that on a Saturday, Joel. You're not going to get anybody.
Well, and
so they
quite
have
honestly,
a spokesperson
Yeah.
that has phone numbers, but they can't back up the service when people need it, which is in the off hour. 24/7.
And this was one of the topics of the Ulster County School Boards Association, I believe, last January, when the county executive and legislators came to that, I think it was a Thursday night meeting, and those points were made that we need these services, and then what we got back in response was, we're trying, but we can't find the people.
Of course.
So, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same cycle.
It's a terrible one, and it exasperates the needs that are out there, I think. And as the population grows, so does the issue. But what can you expect a K-12 system to support? Now, at one point, some of these positions, if you recall, and I recall very vividly, we talked about, they're going to do outreach to families, they're going to do this. The population we have keeps these people busy, I'm sure. If I was to ask Dr. Boyd, at one point I was gonna, I said, I forget. Give me a log. I don't need who, what, when, where. Just give me a generic log of what families are we supporting, not the kids and not beyond school hours and families. Probably fill up half a page maybe in a whole year. Because the work is here along with the kids, and you've got limitations of contract, expectation. But as you know, when I see these young adults and their parents, I see parents pressurized in our buildings. They could use help. Who's helping them? The county? Probably de facto we are, or whatever support systems exist for themselves.
And I do think some of our mental health folks, by default, if you're working with a kid, you are working with families, but not to the extent that they probably could use.
Well, I'm looking at even funding. They funnel down money to the districts. You got 8 component districts in Ulster County. Funnel some money down to those districts, and then let us worry about the hiring and securing some mental health counselors, or add to our social work force, or whatever it may be. But at least the county, you're talking 8 component schools, and they're working on a $357 million budget. Funnel some funds down to the school district level. That's all I'm asking. That's where the lobbying should be from school districts, is to get them to funnel. We'll worry about it. If they can't find the counselors, let us worry about it. But funnel some of those funds down to us so we can work with it.
Let us say we can't find anybody.
So the PPS directors are meeting with that one liaison that comes to their meetings. I can tell you the superintendents have had Jen Metzger in. We've had other folks from the county. And so these things have been expressed. But the next, I don't know if it's the next meeting, but I think it's the January meeting of UXPA. That's when the legislators and the county executive usually shows up. And I would encourage folks to come out and
On this-
definitely express that.
On this issue, Jen has said some positive things.
Yeah.
Now we'll see if there's any follow through.
Right.
The funding's got to exist for her, just like it has to do for us
Yeah.
to fulfill
No,
the
true.
mission. But the need is certainly.
I think you were there.
She was made aware of that last year.
Yep.
Right, so.
And I would say in the last 3 years that I've been doing this, I've been to those meetings, and it's a topic that comes up time and time again. So.
You know, that old saying, you kick the can down the road. I mean, they got
Right,
to
but if you-
act on it.
right,
They
but
gotta
if you-
act
if
on
you
it.
stop
And I think at some point, maybe
advocating.
we bring in our 2 county legislators that represent our area, bring them into a meeting and let's have a discussion.
That would be cool.
We did
Let's
have-
invite
I'll
them.
invite them.
Yeah.
We
I
did have
think
a
that's
meeting
cool.
with Gina last year. And,
Here?
Through the school somehow, and I had her in a sidebar conversation.
Great to
She
see
was
Miss
able to
Hanson.
funnel some money to us, but it was a drop in the bucket.
Yeah,
And
but
she
I think
admitted,
if every district can
No, we
reach
got
out to
additional
their
funneling money.
representatives and
Right,
bring
it's
them
like they
into
drop
their meetings
duffel
and
bags.
And it
express
wasn't-
the need and the desire that.
Right, it wasn't gonna be a reoccurring amount either. It was a one-time shot.
Right, no, that's yeah.
They were able to do it back then. I'm sure they can do it again.
Of course.
Funding.
No, without a doubt.
Just my thoughts.
Good thoughts.
Okay. Are there any more questions for Mr. Zimmer? Okay, we'll move on to the superintendent.
Okay, so some folks have already spoken about some of the things that I just wanted to remind everyone, but so I've crossed some of my things off. But just as a reminder, we have parent-teacher conferences coming up, and we do encourage all parents to come out and engage in conversation with their child's teacher. The high school this coming Thursday night, 5 to 8. Elementary next Monday night, 5 to 8. Middle school next Tuesday, 5 to 8. And then we have a district-wide session on the 22nd, Wednesday the 22nd, from 8 to 11. I know I've sent a message out to the board this week, but we have gotten our first approval for phase 2 for the middle school. So I get a ton of emails each week on where different parts of the project are, what's been put in and what they're asking for. So I think the others will be coming in short fashion because this one came through. So we got the green light on that, and I'm looking forward to the others in the coming week. Just a reminder, we have the high school Canada trip the first week in December. And since we won't be meeting again until December, I just wanted to point out that our winter concert schedule is up, and it's on the website. Monday evening, the 11th, is the elementary school. Wednesday night, December 13th, is the middle school. Our board meeting is in there too on Tuesday night, the 12th, and then Thursday night, the 14th, for the high school. Tomorrow, I will be attending a webinar on policy development with Erie One. I know I mentioned that at a previous board meeting, so that webinar is tomorrow. And then, very preliminarily, we have this Monday, the Blue Ribbon Commission on Graduation Measures made recommendations to their Board of Regents. There's a whole host of things that they are recommending. Changing some requirements with regents exams and things of that nature. Everything is at the recommendation stage. Nothing has been agreed to. And so when we talked as Ulster County superintendents this week, we hesitated saying too much because we don't want to put the cart before the horse. Until state ed gives us some true guidance, I think it's really too soon to start talking about the individual pieces. But in my Friday update, I will give you a link to the website, and I will give you at least the 12 bullet points that were put out. Some of them are, replacing 3 diploma types with 1 diploma and using seals and endorsements, adding civic responsibility, accessing career and tech, reducing or modifying diploma assessment requirements to allow more assessment options, and tailoring things in a different way for the needs of our students for this changing world that we live in. To go along with the work that we've done with our DEI initiative. This is actually a New York State initiative, so they did put in there that requiring that all teacher prep programs provide instruction on culturally responsive sustaining education practices and pedagogy, and then requiring professional development plans in the future to reflect that, which we know ours will because we've already adopted that as part of our policy. And then this one kind of review and revise the New York State learning standards again. So that one kind of, not that it's a chuckle, but it just seems like every couple of years we're revising and coming up with new learning standards. So so you talk about wanting to, test something over time. You got to try to keep something in place for a little bit of time. So that's one of the concerns that superintendents were talking about this week when we got together and met.
Instead of evaluating existing standards, that might be a little better, right? But
So-
just let you know.
But at least
No.
at least the conversations are happening at the state level. The Board of Regents, I would say some of the Board of Regents, if you watch the meeting, I don't know that they're truly on board with abandoning, the 100 and whatever it is, 154 year Regents exams that have been in effect. But then there are others that are forward thinking. The commissioner is a little bit more forward thinking and looking at how can we measure where students are differently than just through a Regents exam.
We're the only state with a Board of Regents at this point, right?
There are, I believe, 6 or 7 other states that require similar type of exams for graduation purposes, but yeah, I don't believe that anyone has
have a
one
Board of Regents
as
as a part of SCD.
elite as what we have in place. Yeah, so
They'll find use for themselves.
So I have that for my Friday updates so that you'll get a copy of that. But the link to the website has an entire PowerPoint, a slide deck. I don't know that I would wade too far into it until we get some more guidance, but I thought it was important that since that happened, well, that was yesterday, actually. It feels like it was 4 or 5 days ago. That was yesterday. So that was yesterday morning that came out. So, and I believe that's all I have.
Any questions for the superintendent?
Staff answered them all.
Just want to, would like you to set up the support service meeting so we can review phase 1 and the timeline, and also phase 2, the approval process.
Phase 2 of high school is the big kahuna, right? That's what you guys are waiting on.
We're waiting.
Get out the bid.
Yep. You want that before Thanksgiving? The week that we return?
Right after Thanksgiving.
Probably
Yeah.
right after.
Yeah.
We might have a better chance of
Yeah.
having more of the phase
Yep.
2
That'll work.
items.
But still, even phase 1, as far as timeline, how things are progressing with
Yep.
all the scopes of work.
Yep.
Try to push them later. We're gonna get to
Do my best.
they work for us.
Unfortunately, my schedule doesn't always function like that either.
No,
So,
I'm just saying.
all right.
All right, any other questions for the superintendent? Okay, on the Board of Education, new business, cell phone usage, discussion. Mike, that was one of your concerns at the last meeting, and we put it on the agenda. I know cell phone usage, I brought it up about 7-8 years ago, and we had slight discussion in the following meeting. Staff brought in quite a few members saying that, cell phone usage was priority with them because they use it as a educational tool in their classroom. But since then, it has evolved that through COVID, we've issued every one of our students a device. So now with cell phone usage, I know some districts have implemented, I call it a ban on cell phone usage in the school. I think to move this forward, in my mind, is that if we all agree, we move and get a survey out to all staff members and see what their input is as far as that. I don't know what you're feeling, Mike, as far as, you know, at the last meeting you brought that up.
Yeah,
Had some discussion.
I mean, I think Camille has shared what the organization she works with is doing. I heard Newburgh is following suit, by the way.
I read that as well.
The same program.
The Yonder bags.
Yeah. As an IT person, I'm not a big banner on IT stuff. I understand the challenges it brings in the classroom. I am for communicating to students and parents of the secondary level a parameter. And I believe this is more of a high school discussion, right? Middle school, you're like no to cell phones or okay, so well, yeah.
We do our best to manage cell phones.
The organization I work for also wrestling with the same issue, and probably too early in the year to assess, but the superintendent there set an expectation and went up and spoke to parents and students, and basically, while you can have a cell phone, you cannot have it on your person. And so we know in some former experiences, right, the basket in the front, well, they're just staring at the basket. And if the basket wiggles because someone got a text, they're wondering if that's their phone. So instead of looking there, they're looking at the basket and wondering what's happening in the basket. So at least if they hand manage their own device, but separating the device from the person becomes important, right? Like this can't be here in class because so it can't be on your person is where Marlboro sits right now. We know where Middletown sits. We know where Newburgh's going to go. So, somewhere we've got to find that common ground. And I know it's a distraction. The majority of and we know what the scores are. And I'll tell the student body, you're being distracted by the cell phone, the majority of you, right? But, so that's what I'm thinking. But, I'm more in the lines of trying to teach our students secondary level, grade 6 and up, how to manage these things in daily life. And try to limit those distractions. They should acknowledge, right? Part of it's like some dialogue. They should acknowledge this is a distraction from their learning. I would find it hard to believe that somebody could argue that. I certainly would understand a parent's concern of, hey, I want to be in touch with my kid. It's 2023. But there's times it should be able to access it. Lunchtime. I access it on my lunchtime. I mean, I access it all the time, but I'm also getting work-related messages where a student is not getting work-related messages from their peers necessarily. Maybe 1 in 30 communications. But anyway, so that's where I sit. That's where I'm kind of feeling. I've never, even in the role that I play in the organization I work for, I'm a least restrictive environment. I don't want to lock up everything. That's not the real world. They have access to things like, Google Translate. Why shouldn't every foreign language teacher want Google Translate banned? Well, there's others who use that in various ways. Mm-hmm. And unless you have the conversation, you don't know. So I'm interested to hear from the board. I'm interested to hear from Lily.
I think it's hard to go from where we are currently in practice to where Camille School District is doing. I think it's a big gap. I think besides just surveying the teachers and the staff, I think you also need to survey the students, you need to survey the parents, and you need to survey others within the. If we're gonna go from this extreme to this extreme, there needs to be a lot of input on what various aspects of this community feel about going from this extreme to this extreme, or is there a happy medium somewhere in between?
I don't like solutions that include the word extreme. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. I'm going to talk about where I work at because it's a different, but there was a policy in place too. Right. But I think not having anything in place or, one classroom you can do it, one classroom you can't. I feel like there needs to be some policy as to here's how we operate as a high school. And then thinking about the workplace, there's jobs that our kids will go into as adults, and if they can't detach themselves from the phone, right, they're gonna lose their job. Like, so that's the reality that if you're, you know, some of the jobs, there are requirements about using the phones, and so it's not just the school. We try to prepare them for the future. So besides the distraction and whatever else they want to film and leave the room, whatever they do with it, but that's the reality that we have to, when we're trying to say why it's important, we have to also stress, like, this is the real world. When you take your SATs, you can't have your cell phone. You have it during the regents, right? You get disqualified. When you take these exams as professionals, same thing. So I think this is part of the real world, that there has to be a point in time where, you know, it's okay to have the phone. There's times where they're not. So I think this is the time to start. But I would not advocate for a yonder pouch. I would not.
Heather, do you have any thoughts?
I think what Camille's saying is exactly how I feel, and kind of similar to Mike, just in terms of extremes. I don't think are ever good, right? Just because somebody, you know, drinks and drives doesn't mean nobody should drive, right? Just because somebody uses their cell phone incorrectly doesn't mean nobody should have it, right? I think we need to really, like you said, prepare kids for the future, right? If you have a job that you're constantly, I mean, as a supervisor, I know you have employees who are always on their phone. You gotta, you know, it's something else as a supervisor to manage. You know, there are types of jobs that you're constantly going, so you can't be on it. But then there's always a propensity to pick it up. So I think it is important to make sure that we're teaching those skills to be able to divide yourself and shut it off and be able to function and do the task at hand. So I do think it's important, but I think I'm more in line of having a policy set for the school and making sure that everybody is in line and following that. I think that consistency is key.
If you're talking different populations of people, you have staff, you have students, you have administration. You all can't be held to the same set of standards.
I'm saying rules for students.
Yeah.
If we have issues with staff on it, I think that's a different situation.
The way it came out was almost like the school and everybody in it.
No, I'm talking about for students.
Okay. Right.
If we have staff with issues, I would think that would be handled by administration.
Yeah.
I mean, in our occupation,
they are adults
we tell our
professionals.
employees that they can't use because, you know, it's a safety issue. You know, you're an electrician, you're working on a hot panel box, and somebody calls you, and all of a sudden you drop your screwdriver and sparks fly because you have to answer the phone. They have to learn that. I mean, I think Camille's right by saying that. You know, you go out into the workforce, no matter what workforce it is you're in, what occupation, there's those hazards that are associated with you. Just like they tell you don't drive and be on your phone. For what reason? Because you're distracted. I think I agree with everyone. I think we have to just ease into this and develop a policy that, you know, addresses it with everybody's input. I mean, we'll get input from staff, administration, and students alike, and see what direction.
Yeah, I think if we're going to take the time to get survey data, let's run it through all the populations.
So is the consensus of the board to move forward, just to investigate the cell phone usage?
I think the construction of surveys for the student, staff, and parent population is important.
I guess my question just on that, and I'm not opposed to surveys, but we're not looking to make a wholesale change, but rather potentially consistency. So what are we looking for in a survey? Are we looking for opinions to say, do you want us to go to the extreme, or what are we looking to get out of that survey data, I guess?
True. Probably, you know, the first direction should be to our administrators, middle school and high school, and get some input from them as far as what's the daily occurrence. I mean, how many times do you have to deal with the overuse of a cell phone?
And I'm not saying that there's not value in survey data. I just know when we say this, it's a huge undertaking to try to get through it. So just want to make sure we understand kind of what are we looking for. Because if we don't know what we're looking for,
I'd like to collect data. Let's talk with our administrators, look at policy. So quite frankly, when we open our doors next September, there's a much clearer picture than there is now on
what cell phones in the secondary school look like,
I think that
right?
in regards to the survey, I think more or less is getting the input. Like if you're talking about a policy, does it mean in the classroom, in the hallways? Like some schools have red zones, green zones, right? So I think that's for me what I'm looking at, like surveying. Like we know it's an issue. So I mean I don't know what the survey is going to yield. And there's a lot of data too, just with kids in their brain developmentally, like the impulse control part of their brain. Right, this is a time where it's developing, in middle school and they have the phones that they don't have that impulse. So I think there's a lot of data. We go to mental health and just what the like getting a like, what that can do. So many things that reasons why it's not. So for me, I'm more looking for like what can they do? What can I do with the phone during the school day versus like the survey? I know what the survey's going to show.
Well, okay, I got you.
Wasn't there a red light, green light?
Yes, excuse me. At the high school, there's it's classroom by classroom. The teachers on the wall, and I don't know if this is still in effect. With COVID, it kind of went away, but I inherited it from Mr. Harris. But each teacher has a red light, green light sign, and they'll say at this time this is a red light zone, all cell phones away, or at this time you may use your cell phone for school purposes. But that was a class by class teacher decision.
But that doesn't sound like it's working. Otherwise,
well, I don't
right?
think it's
Otherwise,
consistent
cell
anymore.
phones would not be under new business under the board's agenda.
Right. Yeah, right now, it is a continuation of the room to room. Some teachers let students utilize their phones and devices for work purposes. Other teachers say absolutely not and they put them away. So I leave the autonomy to the teachers to make that decision for their classroom, because as of right now, they know what's going to work best for their student population within their classrooms.
Which confuses the student population, right? Because it's shifting sands.
Right.
It's not consistent.
And there's no restraint with it because I can use it, periods 1 and 2, and then I can't. I just think, I think something consistent, because it's just like I said, I mean for the kids, it just needs to be one. I think for the teachers that try to say no cell phones, well, I've been using it the last 2 periods. Like that's a battle that they have to fight, and I think.
But what if, let's theoretically say we have 70 teachers in this high school. I don't know why I'm on 70 lately, but everything's 70 today. 70 teachers in the high school, 2 every now and then turn their sign to green. Sometimes they use it in class. 68 other staff members say, no, it's a distraction and you have your device. Get it on your desk. That's what you need to do this work, not your phone. Can't I draw a policy based upon that data?
Well, you can. I think that this
a
is
preponderance of the educators in the building say, no, sorry, you two, they can use it at homework at home. The policy's going to say not on your person.
Yeah, I think it's a larger conversation, more than just the individual classroom users, but on a larger board level and district level, to kind of investigate it a little further and find out
so that data
how
is
staff
important.
feels about it.
That data is important.
Absolutely.
Because if it's 50-50, what policy are you going to make to apply evenly, guys? What are we doing? It's just, we're going to grind on each other through the years, and that's how it goes until the satellite phone is now embedded in my ear and I can just think about it. Lily,
Yeah.
you've got your device there. You wouldn't need your cell phone in class. Is that an accurate statement? And why isn't it, if not?
So this is my personal device, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can access my personal text messages and my personal apps on my personal device. Not everybody has that. Some kids use the school devices where various websites are blocked and they don't have access to any of their personal.
Right. So for class, now you're here in the evening at a meeting, so you brought your personal device, and a lot of us do. That's fine. Wireless allows for that. But during school, wouldn't it be just to say, no, Lily, you got to use your school device because it has some of those same restrictions. It allows you to the school stuff we want you to get to and not to whatever we don't want you to get to. In that situation, wouldn't it be okay if your cell phone was in your bag turned off?
Yeah. I mean, like, ideally.
Would you be able to, you can get through the day with that? No.
No.
So there's got,
No, I
so,
cannot.
right, so there's gotta be some green zones. There's gotta be some acceptable use times, like lunch, like study hall maybe, I mean, I don't.
Ideally, in a perfect world, like, we can teach these boundaries to, like, students early on with, like, their personal devices, so it doesn't get to that point where it's, like, too much. Because then I feel like when we go to, like, the extreme points with the pouches or whatever, you know, or even just, like, banning all of phones, they can't even be on your person, they have to be tucked away in a locker or something, it brings up that trope where it's, like, kids and they have these strict rules, and then it's, like, the second they get, like, for their whole high school experience, and then they get out and they're, like, set free and they're in college or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that's where we wanna go.
Go crazy. Or they don't know boundaries outside of the classroom. Now they're home and then they're glued to their phones because they, like, haven't been on it all day. Like, I feel like it should be able to be taught, like, how to be respectful and, like, follow, like, social expectations with devices. Because bottom line, like, we're going to go into the real world and we're going to use them all the time. So we should learn how to use them correctly.
So in a 9th grade orientation and a 6th grade orientation, that would have to be a topic, right? Because if you don't train it, if you don't address it, the expectation's not set. But the question is what? What does that policy look like? What does it say? So having access is necessary. Green zone. And everybody would agree, I think that lunch is an acceptable green zone time, right?
Study hall could be.
At least I would. I don't know. School board. Parents might feel another way. Students another way. Is study hall a green zone time?
Now, if it's a study hall.
Yeah.
Why not?
If it's utilized to the extent that it should be, you shouldn't be on your phone. You know?
True.
It sounds like a lunch period.
Yeah.
I'm given time that I use at my own discretion. Granted, I'm in a school, so all that time is academic, but can't I mean, right now, students choose what they work on during that time, do they not?
Correct.
They pull their cell phone out?
They do.
Well, the question is, does that survive this discussion as a green zone time?
Yeah, but during,
we're not going to get the
study
answer.
halls, you have students that are in there studying, cracking the books very.
I don't hear the cell
diligently.
phone. They got the thing in their ear.
And that's the other thing of the ear pods, right? So, you know, their phone could be in their bag, but then are we going to remove, and the smart watches as well. So there's more than just the actual phone itself.
Off your person means off your person.
So I think it's, again, it's a larger discussion that there are some other factors that kind of impact the decisions that need to be made.
Al doesn't want the cell phone, but he's okay with the earbuds. No, so anyway, it does get complex. But I do believe that there's a meandering boundary that we can potentially stand on. You know?
They can count on their cell phones more than they can count on.
I think we need to know where the staff
device.
sits. Preponderance of staff.
Like they can count on their cell phone being charged just about every day they come to school.
Yeah, not so much their
The-
Chromebook.
The,
though, right?
the district provided device is left
Yeah.
home or not charged. They got this.
Well, this
I'm not saying it's
conversation.
right, but they have there's different priorities.
Yeah.
And that's.
Well,
I think that's a generalization, because I don't know that that's the majority of the students.
Started at an earlier age, when they bring their cell phone to the school, the foundation has to be started there, where like Lily said, the use of it is minimized then, so they kind of get into that pattern as they progress through to the high school, that there's only certain times that they should be using it, and we should stick to those guidelines.
Part of this does bring
I think the middle school has a policy right now. It's from what I'm
it's
hearing.
perfect, and they're prepared to present on it tonight. No,
foolproof.
It's not foolproof. I mean, Mr. Murphy said, you know, you got the ear pods, you got the Chrome watches, you got it all. So it's kind of difficult to
And
really.
as you enter high school, you know, obviously the workload with the college and AP courses becomes much more rigorous. The teachers do a great job. You know, some of the teachers, again, it is split. Some of the teachers allow device use, and some of the teachers have set that expectation from day one as to what their expectations are with use of devices within the classroom. So more so in the higher level courses, those college and AP courses, the workload is so rigorous that the students don't have time for it.
Aren't they, and this could be just my ignorance of not having kids at that level, but aren't they all using devices, the school issued devices? Or they're not, there's some classes that aren't using?
No, some do and some don't.
Yeah, and I think just, with that, that was one of my things I wanted to say too, is that, we have the reports as to what's being used technology wise. So I'd be curious, like if there is a survey, that's the, to do a survey, I'd be curious about what is a cell phone use, like what's the use of the cell phone in class? Because I'm pretty sure that there's something on the computer that they be using to do that. So that's just I would put money that majority of things that you can do on your phone you can do on the computer, and connectivity wise it's not an issue. And then going back to the watches and AirPods as well, like there's a policy, like where does that fall as well? Like that's a real conversation that kids do listen to. There's videos that they watch in class, so they don't have their AirPods. Then I guess you have to give them now the plug-in devices. I know my son has smartwatch. He has so I just
plugged in.
So he has that. But I think there is there's so many different areas that have to be considered with the policy. But I still think that needs to be something that way across the high school. Since middle school has something that kids know, here's what it is. And then just the last point I want to get to, we talk about progression of we start young. As adults, we have to model that behavior too, because I can tell you in numerous settings, I sit in meetings or wherever else, and we are like this, and I'm pretty sure we're not getting emergency phone calls and emergency things on Facebook and TikTok and I call it Tick-Tack, but Snappy Chat, but I have my own next one, but like so as adults, like we need to model that too, even when we're at home. Like I know it's very easy to come home and we're all doing this, right? So I think there's a lot of things that we're talking about the kids, but I think we can do a very job with it as adults as well, especially when we have we talk about getting behind the wheel of a car and we're on our phones. We have young drivers, right? So I think there's so many pieces to this whole cell phone thing that it just doesn't stop right here in K-12. So it's just I think we have that responsibility to our kids to be better with how we use our devices.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
This is going to resurrect device policy though, because your argument of you don't need that cell phone because all the tools that you provide there are coming through this, we'd have to set that expectation. And Lily said, not so much. I mean, she didn't directly say that, but
I think
some kids bring them ready to go and other kids don't. That's the expectation. Yes, their cell phone's ready to go because they're requiring that. But if we, and it sounds like, and I don't want to speak for Camille, and she'll interrupt me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like we make the decision. And whatever tool they're using for their cell phone, we'll find on here. And we'll beam it right to them, whatever the app is.
a big thing with the phones too is like cell phones are reliable. Like I think someone said it before, I'm not sure who, but like cell phones you can count on for being charged. Chromebooks, like you can. That's generalization. I don't want to speak for all students, but I know for most of my peers, and it's like cell phones are faster than the Chromebooks. You know, like that's not much we can do for that. Certain articles that teachers want us to read, they might be blocked on the Chromebook. Cell phones, they'll just.
As a teacher, if something's blocked and I find educational value, I can make the request and have it unblocked the same day. Same day. That's just a filter entry. We call it whitelisting. I don't want to speak for them, but.
So what I'm hearing is that the district supplied devices, sometimes they're not brought into the classroom, sometimes they're not brought into school, and sometimes they're not charged. So why did the district purchase devices? All right, COVID had something to do with that, but I thought at that point in time that we're supplying every student with a device to kind of supplement and help the learning process. If they're relying on their cell phones, then we don't need the Chromebooks.
You do need the Chromebooks Because all computer-based testing is in now, sir.
Right.
So them getting used to the environment, getting used to the tools is absolutely necessary at every level. Like we just said, K-8. There's no choice. How about Regents? We go computer on the Regents this year too?
Not yet.
No.
No paper, not yet.
Not yet.
But it will.
It will.
It will, because paper's expensive.
I think that's a sign too. I mean, you come in with your phone charged, but you're not your Chromebook.
If as a student,
If you weren't allowed to use your phone, I think there would be more priority on making sure your Chromebook was charged.
if the expectation of a preponderance of my classes is I'm going to be using that Chromebook, I will bring it in charged every day. And especially if I take a teacher, there's used to be like a grade, used to be like 10% participation. Well, maybe that still stands, but now 5% is technology readiness for class. Well, what does that mean? It means you got your Chromebook. It means it's charged and ready to go. It means you can log in. Not that you're chasing tech right there when you need it. You do that on your own time.
Mm-hmm.
Or green time. So there's got to be that expectation. If I'm not using the device in a preponderance of, I don't have to say all, right? Preponderance, 50% or more, I'm not going to, what am I going to manage this device for? It's heavy. I don't carry a bag anymore. You get all these excuses. But if they know they need it for the majority of their classes, right? Does that sound fair? Does that sound right, Tom? No?
We're getting there.
I'm just curious, with the one-to-one device, or using personal devices for one-to-one, Go Guardian, does that Go Guardian work with personal devices?
No.
I was pretty sure, but I would, no.
Back up.
For a classroom environment.
Yeah.
What's the cost of a device, Mike? Chromebook.
$380 to $400.
Right. Times 1,700 students. What do we invest? A lot of money.
$150K a year.
More. Up.
They're good for about 5-6 years, right? So, to say that just like your buses, there's a replacement policy. Whether they buy them all or buy them some,
Yeah,
it's
but with an investment
$150 a year.
of the district to prepare the students to give the students a device
And create,
outside of their cell phone.
and to create equity across.
It wasn't an easy discussion here with our former curriculum person. Right? COVID blasted the doors open and got every kid a device. Prior to that, it was, well, if they need it, want it,
Right.
Maybe. But
Okay, so we'll move on. We'll keep this discussion going.
So just so I guess what's the next step? So
Well-
a lot of things were tossed out. So
Do we want to, I don't like to use the word charge, but if we want to have our administrators do some research as far as touching base with their staff and coming back possibly with a report at our next meeting?
yeah, I don't think we're at survey mode yet, and we may not need them. But having the staff, I don't know what the next word is. How they feel about the cell phone, right?
Input.
Yes. And some type of gauge, and if it's 50-50.
And I don't mind even if staff members want to come to a meeting and speak. I mean, I've always said that, this is an open meeting here, and I've always said it since I've been sitting here that I like to see staff come. I mean, we're not here to criticize, we're here to work with the staff for the betterment of the students. And if we can have that conversation, let's have it. Did one time.
Well, they probably
did
will
a round-
come here
round
on
table
video and
discussion.
everything to have it, but we're having it. And we're welcome to input no matter which way it gets to us.
But I think moving forward, that would be
academic
our charge to the administrators to try to get some feedback from staff and even students. Maybe Lily can reach out to some of her peers and bring back some conversation that you had with them to discuss with us. And that's another avenue we can take.
I think too, like
Same way with administrators.
I think like families too, like that, making sure like we always talk about the partnership. So I think you need families to support whatever we do. So I think.
Yeah.
So I think at some point,
Well, if we get to a draft of something, that might be a time to.
Or you could have the discussions at the PTA meetings. There's parents there, just to start the conversation. Obviously, not all parents are there, but at least.
Well, they represent the parent
Exactly.
thoughts. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, no matter what we do, if we come up and draft a policy, it's not going to sit well with every single staff member in the district. But if we can get a consensus out of the staff that we can work with, I think the board would be okay with that. I don't think we want to, come up with a policy that's so restrictive that nobody likes it. So, with that said, we'll move on.
We're gonna
we'll
await. We're expecting by our next meeting some feedback from the middle school and high school. Right, this isn't an elementary problem, although policy would affect everybody.
A phone went off the other day and the kid was in shambles because they were like, oh my god, and like crying almost like. So it was a fourth grader. The kid was like, I swear I didn't know it was on. Like it's fine.
As time goes on, it probably gets younger and younger and younger.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We're gonna get some feedback from the staff. We're gonna think a little bit more as a board.
I'm sure with the elementary school would be fourth and fifth graders.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have it with anything over.
No.
The only thing I would ask
maybe a few fifth graders
would be to coordinate the format of how you present it to us and get back to us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Megan and Andy and Brandon will.
Andy.
Andy and I will.
Yeah, he's got this.
We'll take care of that.
We've done cell phone surveys in the past in the middle school, so I can give some of that to you guys too.
Just to keep the conversation moving forward. Okay.
I had one other new business item, very quick. Hannaford Pharmacy. Our medical pharmacist, Ray, said there were some changes in some of the immunizations, or they come out and do some things at the building level. I don't know if it was shots or something like that, Joel, but he said that something had changed, that everybody's jumping on board and would Highland consider it. So I said, I got to
For kids?
I think it might have been staff.
For staff.
Staff.
Yeah, they did that at one point before COVID. And I was the principal at the time, and a lot of my staff got the flu shot from, I think it was Hannaford that did it.
Okay.
And then we asked for it, and Deborah was here at that point. We asked for it again, and we were told we couldn't do it.
There was concern about picking one place over another.
It was picking one pharmacy over another pharmacy.
Oh, okay.
So
Ray came into our meeting.
Right, but then during COVID, when they were doing vaccine clinics through the county, and we had Neil Smoller came and ran vaccine clinics at the elementary school in the gym for anybody in the community that wanted to come in. But I think that was just, they were rolling out shots as quickly as possible. There didn't seem to be an issue at that point.
Okay.
But the first time it was picking one pharmacy over another pharmacy.
Okay, and are we still of that mind?
I believe that's probably the
probably working.
If I talk to legal, they're probably going to say I can't promote one over another.
Okay.
So, but I mean, I a lot of my staff was very happy that he came and did it in the nurse's office, and they didn't have to go to him. So it was a nice thing, but Is it?
If I see him again, I'll say, if you have any program information, forward it
Yeah.
over. This way and then if it's the same, then
And then if
our
other schools,
position's
if
the same.
other schools are doing it, I'll be more than happy to reach out.
And from an employer perspective, they've kind of gone to, because we used to have it too, where they used to come in, and it's changed also, where now they give you something, I don't know, it's a coupon or something, you can go anywhere and get it, but they don't come in and do it in-house either.
Unfortunately, we have, 2 pharmacies. I mean, if it was Marlboro, you have 1 pharmacy, so you could probably do it there. They could probably come in.
Oh, I see.
We have Walgreens and Hannaford, so we could probably ask both of them if they want to come in and do it, and then I guess we're okay.
If it's similar, I got you. Thank you. That's the only new item I have.
It's the easier shot.
Yeah.
But you can get the COVID and the flu shot at the same time.
Well, you watch
I
all those-
did.
You watch all those commercials?
I got both of them at the same time. Got it both
You all
times.
right after?
That's fine. 1 in each arm.
I got them both.
Oh, I
You
see.
got them both the same arm?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I felt pain. Yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah,
No.
Okay.
Rub it.
Any other new business?
So,
Old business? Good and welfare of the district. I just want to say one thing. I know she'll probably yell at me and be embarrassed, but we have a board member this evening that's celebrating her birthday. Janine Lamont, Janine Gamble.
Happy birthday.
Dedicated board member.
I think we've all done it at one point.
I know.
Yeah, she asked me on the way in, is this gonna be a quick meeting?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mike said it was gonna be a short one.
Yeah, I could have known that, of course, the one night.
Oh, is that why you looked at me when I said I had all my reports?
Yeah, that's what you're talking up today, come on, let's go.
Blame it on Mike.
that's your birthday present, I guess.
Now, that would have been an appropriate use of cell phone at another time, like yesterday.
Okay,
Thank you.
open the meeting up to public comment. Okay, we'll close the meeting and ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Janine, second.
And seconded by
So
Janine.
I can go home and go to bed.
Before board members leave, please just.
All in favor?
We did. I think she passed it.
We're back.
Yeah.
We're good, Joel.
Look at that, Lisa, you had
I
it.
spent the
Hang
morning
on.
on the phone with the department
I didn't
head.
realize.